Right. So what do I mean by building an intent-driven content strategy? Basically, I always go on about the fact that we waste a lot of money on content that doesn't get seen. So this is about ensuring that we can create the content that our customers want, regardless of where they are on their purchase journey. And it's about how we optimize our content ecosystems to make that happen. So what does this entail? I'll tell you what this entails when I've got about 5 screens around here. What does this entail? Well, it's really about understanding and getting 3 things right. Those 3 things that you can see there. It's about understanding your customer. It's about really getting a good understanding of Google and the SERP landscape. And then it's being able to create the sort of content that we know our customers want. So when it comes to our customers, I always say SEO begins inside the mind of the searcher. And it's something I talk about every single day. I say it everywhere I go, at almost all of the meetings that I attend. But when it comes down to our customers, we need to understand 5 things, okay? What are they looking for? What questions are they asking? What are they thinking about? And what they're thinking about is hugely impacted by the content they're consuming. So what content are they consuming? And finally, what's their intent? Now, if every website owner and every business understood and had the answer to all those questions, it would be amazing, because they could then create an incredibly well-connected content ecosystem that was there to meet their customers at every stage of the purchase journey. So how do we find those answers? Well, what if I was to tell you, and you've probably guessed it right now, what if I was to tell you that we can find the answer to all those 5 questions right there in the middle within Google and the SERP landscape? And what today is about, the next 20 minutes, about how we unlock that, how we dive into the landscape, read that data, and get inside the mind of our customers so that we can create that content strategy. Now, the SERP has evolved. I don't need to dwell on this because Clark showed us a great example earlier, but I've got one here on a search for the new iPhone. This was 3 years ago. Doesn't that look dull? Doesn't it look boring? 3 years ago SERP, okay? This is the SERP today. How much it's changed. Look at those features, look at the color, look at the images, okay? We've got we've got ads there, we've got top stories, we've got videos, we've got images, we've got social, all of that. And the SERPs had to evolve, the SERPers had to move on, largely because the customers have evolved as well. And I'm going to illustrate this with an image. And when I was putting this deck together, originally, if I was going to be standing in front of you, and I'm sort of imagining you all out there outside my shed in the garden right now, if I was going to stand in front of you, I would have cut a lot of these words out, but I want to leave them in. So when you get the deck as a download, it all kind of makes sense. But this is how the customers have evolved. Different people come into our worlds or our online ecosystems looking for different things. Some want images, some want videos, some want to go through ads, some want to go direct to the website, some are interested in social or the latest news. So as business owners, it's essential, okay, that we get inside the mind of our customers and we create the content that's relevant to them wherever they are in their purchase journey, and that within our ecosystem we open up the right doorways that they can pass through depending on who they are. And secondly, it's essential that we create the right pathways connecting different content together for 2 reasons, okay? Firstly, it's great for our customers. They'll come in, they'll be able to follow these non-linear journeys and links to discover content that's relevant, that's semantically related, that's new to them. They're going to stay on our site longer. They're going to consume and share content. And the second reason that's important is for Google, because we want to give Google a really good understanding of how our site is connected together. And I've said this so many times, the better we get at making those connections, the better Google will understand our website and the better our overall visibility is going to be. Okay, now, having said that, okay, let's create doorways, let's connect it together. It sounds super easy, but the SERP itself is constantly changing. It's changing at a rate greater than it ever has done over the past few years. Okay, and there's an awful lot of data in there, but you know what? By analyzing that data, we can begin to understand a great deal. We can begin to answer those questions, those 5 questions I was talking about at the beginning. We can begin to get inside the mind of our customers. And we can't necessarily go out and ask them, okay, because data is often better, as I say here. Data is often more helpful than people. And I'll explain myself by showing you this wonderful book that I read recently. I love books, and this is one of my favorite from the past few months. And it's by a guy called Seth Stevens Davidowitz. And he worked at Google as a data scientist for a number of years. And once he'd finished working there, he wrote this book called Everybody Lies. Okay. And one of the interesting things that he discovered was that people's search for information is in itself information. And if we can get to the bottom of that, we can utilize it again to answer those 5 questions so that we can shape our content strategy much more intelligently. And one of the great things that he discovered as well as that was that what people say versus what they do is different. Think about social media, and it's social media. That's the example I want to bring you today. Now, what he did, he analyzed people's social media posts. Now, these were posts that people were making about their husbands. Okay, my best friend, he's amazing, the greatest, oh, he's so cute. But these very same people were actually searching through Google for very different and contrasting things in some cases. So, okay, what about the first one? Oh yeah, he's my best friend. Is he? What were they searching for? Why is my husband a jerk? Okay, doesn't really ring true with best friend, does it? Maybe your best friend could be a jerk. I don't know. What about amazing? Oh, he's amazing. Okay, in reality, yeah, he is amazing. But is he an amazing jerk? What about the third one? He's the greatest, you know, posting out on social media. What were they actually searching for? Actually, no, he's not the greatest. He's annoying. Okay. Oh, he's so cute. Look at those chubby cheeks. Isn't he cute? What were they searching for? Actually, no, he's mean. He's mean, he's annoying, he's amazing, and he's a jerk. That's what people were searching for and asking of Google. Whereas in reality, on social media, they were putting something completely different, which is why you can't always ask people, okay, what their intent is, because they won't always tell you the truth. Now, however, this proves to be our advantage, and this is where Google becomes our friend, because it turns out that this white search box here, this innocent looking search box, actually acts like digital truth serum. Once people see this box in front of them, okay, they start to tell the truth. They start to ask the questions they really want answers to. They start to spill the beans. God knows, you should just search for why is my husband, or why is my wife, or why is something, or should I? And you'll start to see the kind of crazy things that people are really thinking about. Okay, so digital's truth serum, that's what we've got. So having said that, how do we understand intent through the SERP? Well, through 2 main mechanisms. The first one is through looking at the SERP landscape itself. And the second one is by really analyzing all the questions that people ask. Okay, this is the SERP landscape. This wonderful image here, okay, is the SERP matrix. So it's one of the tools from the Pi platform. And within this matrix, you can see all of those wonderful features. So this is a scene of 24 days. We got the 18th of January up to the 10th of February. And for every single day, we're looking at the top 20 results. So we can see all sorts of interesting features like answer cards, maps, the Twitter carousel. People also ask images, the video carousel, etc. There's a whole wealth of information. And I've been looking at this now, and we've been looking at this at Pi for months and months. And suddenly it started to become obvious. On one hand, I'm saying to customers, we need to get inside the mind of your customers. We need to understand the intent. We need to understand and answer those 5 questions. The answers are all in here, in that matrix that you can see below there. So how do we read that? How do we pull those answers out? Well, we begin by understanding what our customers are looking for. Okay, that was my first one. Remember that? What are our customers looking for? We then have to visualize the SERP landscape based on what they're looking for. And that was, for example, through the matrix. And that was just one example. I'm going to show you another one shortly. And once we can visualize the SERP landscape over a period of time for a range of terms, we can start to get inside the mind of the customer. Okay, and we can derive 3 initial layers of information. We can determine broad intent. Now, broad intent or search intent was a term originally coined by a guy called Andre Broder in 2002. He used to work at Alta Vista before he ended up as a data scientist at Google. Okay, he came up with 3 types of intent. We're going to expand those out today. Okay, you can see the content that people are consuming. So that was the 4th question, which helps to answer the 3rd question, which was, what are they thinking? So, and it's like, you know, talking about coronavirus, you know, what are people thinking? Well, that's largely based on the content they're consuming and the media that they're listening to. Okay, that 3rd layer, we can understand the questions that they are asking. Okay, and once we've got that, once we've managed to do that, we've extracted that intelligence, we can actually build out then an intelligence-led content strategy, not a content strategy based on, oh, just build some content. You know, I've got some money to spend. Content's important. Let's just create it. But let's create the content that we know is going to match the intent of our customers, regardless of where they are on their journeys. So let's take a look at broad intent. Now, I mentioned Andre Broder came up with 3 categories of intent. That was informational, navigational, and transactional. I've actually added 2 more categories. I've added research and I've added local. So we've got 5 streams of intent. Now, these are going to become really important over the next few minutes. So how do you determine intent? People sometimes think about determining intent based on the keyword, but we don't do that. We base intent, or we determine intent based on the content that Google actually returns, because let's remember, Google spends billions of dollars trying to ensure that the SERP is a true reflection of searcher intent. So having said that, what features can you expect to see against each of these streams of intent? Well, there you go. I've illustrated some of those for you below. So for example, with informational, we tend to get answer cards. People also ask. The video carousel and images as well. Okay, research, slightly different. Navigational, different again. We got knowledge panels and site links. Okay, so these types of intent, I should also note, the features that appear within them will sometimes vary according to your vertical, but a quick look at the data will start to reveal all of that. Now, we can add another layer to this, because not only have we got those features within the SERP landscape, we've got all those wonderful classic links that make up the majority of the top 2 pages. So when we start to look at those and we start to look at the URL structure, we start to look at the folder structure, we start to look at the theming with titles and headers, that actually brings out new terms and indeed modifiers. And I've got a bunch of modifiers actually written over there on the board. Okay, so for example, with informational queries, we start to see people looking for guides, and we see content with guides returning, blogs, /learn, /type in the HTML title. So we're starting to see patterns emerging from the SERP landscape. Now, what I want to do is illustrate this with an example. Now, I clearly had a midlife crisis. Actually, a squirrel has literally just landed on my roof. So if you hear any strange noises, it's coming from up there. Now, okay, yeah, my midlife crisis is longboards. There are some over there behind me. See that one over there? That's the one in this picture here. Now, let's imagine that we want to actually take up longboarding as a hobby. So we need to start out on our purchase journey with an informational query. Okay, so this is my first step on that journey. Informational. What do we expect to see? Well, I've got the matrix there, the landscape on the right. What do we expect to see? We expect to see answer cards. People also ask, and a video carousel. Okay, what do we see? Yeah, we actually do. Position 0, position 1. Okay, further down on page 1. This SERP here, down that squirrel, this SERP here is truly informational, but let's dig down deeper. Let's look at the classic links and see what's in there. Okay, / blog. Okay, a good amount of content. We've got about 20% of the content there. And the remainder of this SERP landscape, we drill down further, has got / type or / types. They're also including it in the page title. So we're starting to see really clearly that this SERP is shouting out that this is informational. What do you need to do to compete with this? Well, if you are manufacturing and selling longboards, then you need to create the sort of content that is going to fit within this SERP landscape. Okay, as we continue our journey into the research phase, the landscape is similar, but it changes slightly. I'm expecting to see answer cards, video carousels, and images. Okay, what do we see? We see those answer cards, and we see the video carousel. What else do we see? Well, the rest of the classic links are / best with best in the title. So again, this SERP landscape for this term is shouting out research, create research-based content. And critically, as we go through these streams of intent, we need to connect the content from stream A, okay, informational, into stream B, research, navigational, etc. So it's essential that we do that. Navigational. I want to go to the website. I've determined the brand that I want. It's a Land Yachts longboard. Okay, if anyone else out there rides a longboard and fancies getting together just to ride through some of London's parks in the fresh air, avoiding public transport, of course, then just let me know. But anyway, okay, navigational. What do we expect to see? Site links and the knowledge panel. And once again, yes, this is a navigational SERP. What about the brand itself? Well, dominating page 1 is the brand, who has wonderfully connected their ecosystem to such an extent that their video appears within the video carousel, as well as the knowledge panel and all of those other elements, the images too. So they've done a super job. Finally, transactional. I'm going to leave the local one to one side for now, but transactional, okay, as a text, transactional, here's the SERP landscape for transactional. What do we expect to see? PLAs, text ads, and images. Yeah, and they're all there. What about / folder as part of the URL? And again, so this is not only telling us the type of content that we need to produce if we are going to meet the searcher when they come through this transactional SERP doorway, if you like. But the information is just, we're also understanding how we can start to structure our URLs and indeed our site. There is so much rich information within this SERP landscape. It's almost like a fire hydrant, which is why you need to turn to tools like the matrix to enable us to put it into I guess a format that we can consume and we can use to help create our content. But we can do more than that. Okay, and again, I'm conscious on time. I've just got a few more minutes here. Okay, we can do more than that. Those were individual search terms. What if we did that for groups of terms? Okay, a group of terms that we need to create content for over time. It's only then that we start to get a really true understanding of intent. We can classify these terms, okay, and we start to see these fingerprints of intent. Informational, navigational, transactional. I've got Andre Broder's 3 streams of intent below. So when it comes to our content, we know what to produce, okay? It's vital that we connect within the stream as well as from one stream to another, because you know what that's going to do? That's going to ensure that our customers will flow through that purchase journey nicely, but Google will go on that same journey as well, and will start to serve up the right content and the right time, at the right time. It's okay. So understanding broad intent, that's one thing, but we need to get inside the mind of our customer and understand what questions they're asking. Okay, the answers are there again within the SERP. You know, what are we looking at here? Google auto suggest or auto complete, and people also ask. Extract that data, push that back into Pi, monitor the results, see the intent, create the content, and connect it. So we can answer those 5 questions. What are people looking for? What questions are they asking? What are they thinking? Driven by what content are they consuming now? And what is their intent? So now that we can answer those questions, we can create content that matches it over time. And we're not just going to create websites, and we're not just going to optimize websites. You know, you walk into a room and somebody says, we need a new website. No, you don't need a new website. You know what you need? You need a multi-touch point connected ecosystem. That's what you need. And this is how you do it, because you can only do that when you have the data. You can only do that when you've got inside the minds of your customers and answered those 5 questions. They're right there in front of you. The answer's right there. It's within the data, and we shape a connected ecosystem that looks something like this. And here's a wonderful example on the right of a site that's actually got the answer card. It's got a video carousel entry as well, and a classic link, because you can still have the answer card and the classic link, but only if you make the right links between the content and between the page that vanished and the one that you want to appear.